Is Benjamin Sesko going to join Manchester United this summer? Reaction to Wayne Rooney's comments saying that the players are faking injury, and also all of your latest transfer news and talk. Let's get straight into that. But before we do, please smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get on with the show. So obviously, let's talk a little bit about yesterday's game against Arsenal. I actually think we played quite well. I know we lost the game. I think that if we were a little bit more clinical in our chances, I think if Garnacho had maybe crossed the ball a couple of times, I think we actually could have got a draw at least against Arsenal yesterday. I think we were decent. I think when you consider the injuries that we've got at the moment, and we consider that we were playing against a full strength Arsenal side with not a single player missing for injury on their bench or in their starting 11, and we had a team that had, I think, 7 first-team players missing. You had Luke Shaw, you had Varane, you had Martinez, you had Bruno Fernandes, you had Rashford. I mean, some could even argue that Sancho and Greenwood are first-team players, and obviously they've not been part of the squad this season for various reasons. So there are so many players that we were missing in yesterday's game. You know, we had a midfielder in defence. We had Johnny Evans, who is probably the 6th choice centre-back, playing injured. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on. And I actually think, like, tactically, we were set up quite well yesterday. I was quite impressed. And I know it seems weird to be happy after losing a game, but I think when you consider how badly the performances, or how bad the performances have been this season, I did actually take a glimmer of hope away from the game yesterday, because I genuinely don't think we were that far away from Arsenal, and Arsenal were on the brink of winning the league. I know when you look at the season as a whole, Arsenal have played unbelievable football. You know, they've been scoring goals and all the rest of it, which we haven't. So I'm not by any means saying that, you know, Man United are on the same level as Arsenal. I'm just looking at that game yesterday. When you compare the performance yesterday to how we played against Crystal Palace, where we lost 4-0, it was a massive improvement. So you've got to take a little bit of positive from it. I know we lost the game. I know some people still want Erik ten Hag to be sacked, but I'm very firmly Erik ten Hag in. And that game yesterday, for me, gave him more credit. I think he set us up well. The only thing I will say, or the only criticism I will give Erik ten Hag, is Amrabat yesterday I thought was really, really solid. I think he was really, really good defensively. Why has Amrabat not had an opportunity? Now, the obvious thing is maybe he's not that good, but I think he was quite good yesterday. I genuinely do. But I can kind of answer that question. I think Amrabat is a very defensive-minded player. And I think that Erik ten Hag this season has tried to play more attacking football. And I think that Amrabat isn't really the best midfielder if you want to kind of press and attack the other team. I think he's better if you're kind of sitting back. And obviously Erik ten Hag's tried to steer away from that style of football this year. Last season was very much built on the defence, very defensive-minded, moments of magic. That was the kind of formula for last season. Whereas this season, you can see he's trying to get them to actually play football. And we've kind of found out that a lot of these players aren't capable of the possession-based attacking football. We've got maybe 2 or 3 that are, but most of them, Casemiro, Wan-Bissaka, Johnny Evans, Amrabat, McTominay, they can barely string a pass together. The amount of times Scott McTominay played the ball backwards or to no one. The amount of times Casemiro just lobbed the ball long to no one. These people have tried their best this season, or some of them have, but they're just simply not good enough for a modern day team who want to play possession-based attacking football. That's my only kind of criticism. And I genuinely believe that if Erik ten Hag at the beginning of the season had reverted to a more defensive style of play, I think we would get top 4, genuinely. I think we'd be 4th or 3rd, because that formula would work with these players. And I think that's what Erik ten Hag's realised. And he said in the interview with Gary Neville that he effectively doesn't have the players he needs to play the style of football that he wants to play. And he's tried it this season. He's rolled the dice. He did it last year, right? Rewind back 12 months. First game of the season, we lost to Brighton. Second game of the season, we lost 4-0 to Brentford. He tried to play attacking, possession-based football, and we got absolutely embarrassed. After that Brentford game, he went a lot more defensive, a lot more pragmatic, and we started to pick up results. And I think that there is obviously a point where, as a manager, you have to say, right, enough of that. I want to play my style of football. And, that's what he's tried to do this season. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite, because at the beginning of the season, my only expectation from Man United was that we actually started playing football. And what I mean by that is, last season was great. We got 3rd, we got a trophy, but the football was very defensive, and it wasn't the Manchester United style of way. It's not what we've, grown up on. And I wanted this season to see more of that, to see more of a kind of attacking, throwing people forward, And we have seen that. It just obviously has backfired massively because we found out that a lot of these players aren't capable or don't have the correct skill sets to be able to focus in that team. But let me know what you guys think. Obviously, Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford was at the ground yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see like what the news stories are this week. But I think generally, from what I've seen so far, I think it's not hard to criticise him after yesterday, but it wasn't like a terrible performance. I think a draw would have been fair, being completely honest. Like, we did have some opportunities. Arsenal literally had that one goal, which was obviously Casemiro's massive mistake. But other than that, I don't think they really had any opportunities, you know? So we did do all right, considering all the injuries and everything else. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. Obviously, I can't do a show without addressing the stadium. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. Anybody who's not on social media, then go and have a look on Twitter. Literally, the stadium is a disgrace. The roof is obviously completely gone. We know that. There was literally like a flood in the stands. The dressing rooms were completely flooded. Like, it's a disgrace. It really, really is. And I think whenever I speak to rival fans, they're always like, oh, you always blame the Glazers, this, that, and the other. We don't blame the Glazers because we haven't won a trophy, you know? I mean, we do, but that's only a small part of the puzzle. We blame the Glazers because the stadium's falling apart. Carrington is about 15 years out of date. The recruitment's been bad. They've given jobs to people who aren't qualified, like John Murtagh, Richard Arnold, Ed Woodward. And they focused on money, not football. Hence why they haven't repaired the stadium. Hence why they haven't spent any money on Carrington. Hence why they've only signed players to sell shirts. Falcao, Cavani, Di Maria, bringing Ronaldo back. Like, these are all shirt-selling signings, commercial signings. So when, you know, rival fans say, oh, you lose a game and you blame the Glazers, like, I'm not blaming the Glazers for losing the game yesterday. I'm blaming the Glazers that our stadium is literally a disgrace. Like, it's an absolute disgrace. I'm sorry. For these clips that I've seen on social media this morning, it's literally like a waterfall. And the away dressing room completely flooded. Like, even the tunnel where the players walk out completely flooded. Like, it's just embarrassing. I'm sorry. And I just hope and pray that, Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos come in and change it, because it needs to be done desperately. Like, something needs to happen badly, because it's absolutely embarrassing. We're a laughing stock. But moving back over to more football-related stuff, I wanted to talk about and react to some comments that Wayne Rooney said after the game. Obviously, he was doing the Sky Sports punditry following the game, and he said this. He said, some of the injured players for Manchester United are fit to play. So what he effectively said was that some of these players are faking injury. Some of them are available, but they've decided they don't want to play. And you know what? I actually do agree with that. I mean, even if you look at it, you know, on a really, really basic level, Anthony Martial, he was supposed to be back 2 or 3 months ago. He's training, but he's supposedly not fit. You know, he's not willing to play because he knows that there's only 2 games left of the season. He's leaving in the summer. He doesn't probably want to get injured again, and he's thinking about his next move. He's thinking about himself. He doesn't care about helping Man United try and scrape something for this season. He just cares about, you know, preserving himself so that in the summer he has the best opportunity. And obviously, with the Euros coming up, I'm not going to talk about any of the other players because I think, you know, me saying, oh, Rashford's faking injury, that's just, like, I don't know that for a fact. Whereas with Martial, it's just obvious. But, you know, if you look at the rest of the players as a whole, we heard from Eric Ten Hag that apparently Martinez was begging to play yesterday. Begging. But, you know, the medical team said, it's too early, don't bring him back. I don't think any of the other players are, to be honest. I think the other players are quite happily watching from the sidelines. Best case scenario, we're going to finish 7th, realistically, right? They're probably all just thinking, right, we've got an FA Cup final coming up, and then we've got the Euros. I want to make sure that I'm fit and available for them. Which, I don't know. Some people might say, well, let's save our best players for then. But at the same time, like, say Bruno Fernandes and Rashford don't play until the FA Cup final. They're going to have been out for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, are they going to be 100% match fit? Are they going to be ready? I don't know. But it is interesting that, you know, somebody on mainstream media said this, and even Roy Keane kind of backed him up and said, you know, at clubs I've been to, the same thing has happened. So it's not like exclusive to Man United. You know, it's not like I'm just saying that the Manchester United players do this and no one else does. Flip it on its head. Arsenal are on the brink of winning the Premier League. They don't have one injury in their whole squad. Not one. Not even on the bench. Not a single injury. Man United are having their worst season, I think, ever. This will be the worst season in Premier League history. We've got over 10 players missing at the moment. Mason Mount played 20 minutes and now is injured again. Rashford didn't even look like he really got injured and is now injured for 3 weeks. Varane disappeared. Luke Shaw, God knows what's happened to him. Maguire, again, I think he was injured for a bit, tried to play, is now injured again. Like, do you see what I'm going with this? Players can play through injury. They can play through pain. But at the moment, they're obviously looking at it like, why would I jeopardise my career? Which is fair for effectively us to finish 6th. Whereas like the Arsenal players are probably sat there saying, I want to be involved. I'll do anything to be involved. I want to be part of the title winning team. So I guess it is all relative, but it's obviously just a bit frustrating. Right, moving over to Benjamin Sesko. So this is a really interesting one. So Benjamin Sesko's agent, Elvis Bazanovic, hope I haven't butchered his name. Elvis Bazanovic was at Old Trafford yesterday for the game against Arsenal. Now, obviously, this has sent social media into an absolute spiral. Everyone's saying that means he's coming to Manchester United. Some people saying the deal's close. I don't know. The thing is, right, you could just as easily say that he's going to sign for Arsenal. We know that Arsenal need a striker. We know that Arteta's looking at younger profile players. Is it not just as likely that Arsenal are looking to sign him as Man United? I personally, if you want my opinion, which you may or may not want, I personally think that he's probably more likely to go to Arsenal. I know we were linked to him heavily before, but from the information I had, Man United are looking for a more experienced striker. If it was up to me and I was Jim Ratcliffe, I would bring in Benjamin Sesko, and then I'd also bring in an experienced striker as well, just as another option. Somebody cheap, or like Garassi, or somebody a bit older. Not an Ivan Toney, he's going to cost you crazy money. Someone like a Garassi, someone who's going to cost you maybe 15 million tops, and you sign Garassi and you sign Benjamin Sesko. Like, that's what we need to be doing, because Rasmus Højlund on his own is not going to cut it. I'm sorry. I don't think we'll even get top 4 with Rasmus Højlund as our only striker. And that's not me criticising Rasmus Højlund. I'm just saying Rasmus Højlund is the only striker in the whole squad. One striker. Look at the top teams in the Premier League. Look at Man City. They've got Erling Haaland, probably the best striker in the world. And then they've also got Alvarez, who's better than Rasmus Højlund, let's be clear. Alvarez is definitely better than Rasmus Højlund, right? So like we need to be on that level where we have a world-class striker leading the line, and then you kind of have an understudy, and then maybe you have an older one as well as like a backup. Like that's where we need to be. That's what it always was in Sir Alex Ferguson's day. There was always kind of 2 or 3 strikers in the team or in the squad. Yeah, but let me know what you guys think about that. Benjamin Sesko to Man United, yes or no? The final thing I have for you guys this morning is on Gareth Southgate. So he's been talking about apparently the interest in him for the Manchester United job. And he says it's complete irrelevance. There have been no conversations between myself and Manchester United. He says, I've got one thing to focus on, and that's having a successful tournament with England. Fine. No problem at all. No problem in the slightest. But yeah, that's everything for the show this morning, guys. I will be back at 6 o'clock today. If you have enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a lovely day, everyone, and I'll speak to you all later.